Well, that was interesting. So, let's talk about GalaxyCon. Bit of a backstory for me in regards to comic conventions. My very first convention ever was in 2014, and I didn't go to conventions as an attendee. I was a vendor first. Vending at a convention is an entirely different experience, and for that to be my only experience with conventions till very recently, working behind a table at a convention, whether it's a big convention or small convention, is very intimidating. I mean, I'm talking about doing conventions, like the smallest one I've vended at is maybe 200 people, and then the biggest one, almost 20,000. So yeah, I want to talk about my experience with GalaxyCon 2024 because this was the first time I attended a comic convention wearing a cosplay that I made by hand from scratch, and it's a cosplay I have always wanted to do, and the experience, I have to say, was one of the best experiences ever when it comes to conventions. So a bit of a backstory behind this as well. This is not my first time cosplaying at a convention. My very first cosplay was at a very small convention back home in Scotland, and I was Harley Quinn, and this was before like Suicide Squad and all the new movies came out. This was the only version of Harley Quinn that was well known anyway, was the version from Batman the Animated Series, and that was the version I was dressed up as. And I was the only female cosplayer at this convention. It was a very small, tiny little convention. So that experience was very mixed because I was the only girl there, the only girl cosplayer there anyway. It wasn't the best experience because people were taking pictures without asking permission, so I would just turn away. But for people that asked first, I was happy to pose. It was great. So yeah. Anyway, so that was over 10 years ago, and I haven't cosplayed at a convention since then. I was always vending. Since I immigrated from Scotland to America, we attended GalaxyCon in Raleigh, North Carolina for the first time in 2023, and we just attended one day. We are introverts, and one day is more than enough for us if we're just attending. Obviously, if we're vending, we will try to be vending for the entire 4-day long event, but if we're just attending, one day is more than enough because people suck. We had a blast. It was amazing. The cosplays were incredible. I mean, the venue itself, Valley Convention Center, it's clear that GalaxyCon is outgrowing it, and I know that the convention center there is plans in place for the building to get a massive expansion, which will really improve a lot of people's experiences with GalaxyCon in general, because from what I've read and have seen, the venue itself and the layout of the convention doesn't exactly take people with disabilities into consideration. People that use mobility scooters or wheelchairs, or even just people with small children that need to be in buggies or whatever. It's very difficult to navigate a convention that size when it's at full capacity, and especially when people are in cosplay and people are really high energy, and people this day and age are always... I was looking for my phone and I'm filming on it, dumbass. People walk around like friggin' zombies, just staring at their phone, and they're not paying attention to anything going on around them, and so that happened a lot. That's bad. That's not a complaint against GalaxyCon staff itself, that's just a complaint in general, because society. We live in a society! It's just something that people need to be more aware of. I have an adopted sibling who is registered blind, so that the things that I see when disabilities aren't exactly visible to other people immediately, it's just people can be really crappy, yeah. Anyway, so let's get to the good stuff about our experience with this year's GalaxyCon. The cosplay I decided to do this year that I have been wanting to do for years is Hades from Disney Hercules, and obviously that is a male character and is very tall. I want to first give a shout out to Rachel Maxey. For those that don't know, she is a YouTuber that films while she creates her outfits and cosplays, and she does like makeup and hair and a whole bunch of other stuff, and she has been a big inspiration for me in regards to just building up the confidence to do this. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out. You're awesome. I also want to give a shout out to Alice Lockhart, who makes hairstyling tutorial videos, and I followed one of her videos for the messy hair bun that I did, because that was one of the main parts I was really stressed about, because when you cosplay Hades, if your hair is not on point, so to speak, I really wanted to make sure that my version for Hades cosplay was kind of, I wanted to go more for like yes, it's a gender bent thing, so I wanted it to work for me, and I didn't want my hair to be like up like real high. I wanted it to be something like I could do really fast and quick. We just did a messy bun with a sparkly headband that my husband picked out for me, specifically for this cosplay, and it worked so well. It finished off everything perfectly. So Alice Lockhart, thank you for your help with that too. I didn't film this process of making this cosplay. I had no intention of making any kind of video based on this, but after my experience at GalaxyCon, I really regret not filming the process. So just to let you guys know, this is not a tutorial on how to make a cosplay for Hades. This is just me talking about my experience cosplaying as Hades at this particular convention. I forgot to mention one more makeup tutorial that I watched, and it's by Madeline Klein. Oh my god, girl, you are a lifesaver. Just because there's so many tutorials about how to like get the makeup to look right, etc, etc, but you started from like describing what to put on your skin before you even apply your makeup, and not an awful lot of tutorials do that. They'll have that all done already and then just get straight into the makeup part instead of the pre-process, and that to me is the most important part. So thank you, especially because it was ridiculously hot, ironically, and I was sweating buckets, and thank goodness that I had the right primer and the right setting spray and enough setting spray. I only had to apply a little bit more of the makeup after we arrived, after driving from our hotel to the con, and that was purely because my eyes started watering in the sun, and I didn't want to put sunglasses on because it would have gotten rid of some of the makeup around my nose. So yeah, thank God for you, girl. Thank you. So let's talk about the actual cosplay, shall we? Another shout out before we do. Never have too many shout outs in your YouTube videos. Always credit people that you watch for inspiration or tutorials. Always give them shout outs. Credit where credit is due. So for the tunic part of the cosplay, I watched a video literally called The Easiest Tunic You'll Ever Make by Ash LG. Sorry, not Ash LG, what the hell? Ash LG. And so for the tunic part of the cosplay, and I'll throw up pictures of the process right here. I actually made two versions. The first version I made didn't work out because I screwed up the measurements. I didn't measure the shoulder width, I measured my waist width, and when you're making a tunic, you measure the shoulders first, not the waist. So, and for this particular cosplay, I wanted to keep the tunic loose because that is how Hades himself, and the design, his tunic is really loose on his body, so that's what I wanted. I wanted the long, like, hanging sleeves and stuff. I'm not a seamstress. I don't know how to make clothes or anything, so this was the first time I ever made a piece of clothing that I was going to wear myself, and it was very daunting. So that video, please check it out. It's amazing because it would work for Ren fairs or anything like that. In fact, I probably will wear this cosplay at a Ren fair one day, so I might remake the tunic for that. But yeah, the stola, which is the female equivalent of a toga, worked great. unfortunately it actually rubbed really badly on the collar, which you can't see in the final pictures, but the collar was the part that I spent the most time on. So the patterning, by the way, I used maybe 3 different types of fabric. So on the outside of the pattern, you can see on the final version, I've used really sparkly black ribbon for the outside, and then matte finish for the inside patterning, and blue sequins inside. So for one of the sleeves, each triangle is a separate triangle that I attached to the tunic with fabric tape. I am not going to sew this by hand, no. The only part on this tunic that is sewn by hand is the actual seams of the sleeves, and I will show you where I screwed up. So this is a really bad sewing job, but trust me, it gets worse. This at least has the seam on the inside. Look, see? This, there we go. Should be on the inside. So what I did basically, I pinned it while I had it turned out after finishing the other sleeve, and I pinned this and then started sewing, and then realized this seam's going to be on the outside now. So yeah, so the tunic is basically, the only part that's actually sewn is the sleeves and a little bit down the side. The back, it's open on the side, so you just basically wear it similar to like a poncho. The collar, this part right here, which sadly is not seen in the pictures because the stola covers it, this is the ribbon is just basically sewn, I did hand sew this part, onto the collar of an old dress that was too tight on me. So I cut that and attached these ribbons, and these are individually cut triangles, and then I put the ribbon over the top and then used fabric tape to attach the ribbon. And I also used some fabric glue as well, so because it was crunch time. I had 4 weeks to do this cosplay, and this, if I was sewing this by hand with my inexperience, it would have been done. It wouldn't have been done in time. So fabric tape, it's not cheating, it's saving time, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So the stola part of the cosplay, which was, I thought it was going to be a lot more complex. I really did. I thought that I would have to spend ages figuring out like how to fold it. I thought it was going to be really complicated. It really wasn't. I watched a few tutorials on how to tie a stola or a toga, and the only thing is that a lot of the tutorials you see, they just use bed sheets. I didn't want to wear a bed sheet. For the main reason is that on the Hades character, his toga or chitin or whatever you want to name it, like the Roman or the Greek version, the back of his is caped, and that's what I wanted on mine. And the way to achieve that is very simple. You get fabric that's as wide as you are tall and get it to be at least 7 foot. So then that way when you tie it, it has a cape at the back. So then if you need to hold it up for whatever reason, you just grab the cape and then it curls into your leg, and that makes it a lot easier to lift up if you need to. I barely needed to lift this thing at all, other than when I was on escalators because I was nervous in case it got caught for whatever reason. It didn't. And it was one of the easiest outfits to walk in. So I thought I would have issues with that. None at all. It was so comfortable. The only issue I had was the tunic would sometimes it would get twisted because I didn't sew the seams down the side. So if I wear this again, or if I remake this, that would be the main thing I would change, would be to make sure that I sew the side so it doesn't twist in on itself. So, although I said this cosplay is the first time I ever made a cosplay by hand from scratch, I did say a little white lie, because there is one part of the cosplay that I didn't make myself, and that is the brooch. Frankly, it looks like an angry cupcake, or a little bit phallic-y, to be honest, but it's so on point. The camera doesn't do it justice. It's so well made, and this is made by someone on Etsy, Man Cave Prop, and this was just, I got so many compliments on this, so thank you, Man Cave Prop. I had to tell them I didn't make this. So, but it finished off the cosplay. So if I do this cosplay again, I will make my own version, and I will make a lot of changes to the design of this, because it does look like an angry cupcake. So and yeah, a little bit phallic as well, so yeah, we will do something a little different. So yeah, but it finished the cosplay perfect. Circling back to the hair part of the cosplay, obviously my hair is already blue, so I didn't really need to worry about that part too much. But for those that are interested in knowing, I can't remember the brand, I'm sorry, but that wouldn't really matter, because the color that I go to for the blue is cobalt blue, and I don't dye this myself. I used to do it myself, but now I go to someone to do it for me, because my hair is so damn long now. It's almost to my butt. So I get someone else to do it for me, and it is a big commitment having this color in your hair. Even as the roots are coming in, you have to bleach it. I mean, my hair is naturally like strawberry blonde, maybe dirty blonde, and I still have to bleach it to get it this blue, and this is what it looks like after about maybe 3 weeks. So this is it starting to fade now, and yeah, it's a big commitment. So I didn't go for a wig. I didn't want to wear a wig. I thought, you know what, I've already got blue hair, let's just go with the hair. I could have worn a wig, but no, blue is my color. So for the makeup part, the brands that I used, I know a lot of people, like for the body paint, etc., they usually go for Snazaroo, and in my personal opinion, Snazaroo is not a good brand to go with. The main reason is, although it's affordable, it's just not good quality paint, and for me, I feel like, because my skin is very sensitive, I am very aware when I'm wearing Snazaroo. I feel it on my skin, and it is just not comfortable. So I think it's more like when it's drying, you can just feel it cracking, and I really hate that. So, and you have to use a lot of it to get it to a level you need it to be, especially when you have to do like your face, your neck, your ears, the back of your neck, and some of your hands as well, like I did. Although it didn't stay on my hands, but I didn't prime my hands first before applying it, so that's a mistake I made, which I will, if I do this again, I will make sure that I prime my hands properly. So the brand that I used is a brand called Graftobian Makeup Pro Paint Face and Body Paint, and the colour I used is Graveyard Grey. And so I applied all of that as a matte finish, as a base coat rather. I should point out that before I applied it, I did put on makeup primer all over my face first, and I should have applied that to the neck and hands as well. It would have been a better finish. So always make sure to prime your skin first. I also used baby wipes to make sure my face was clean before applying it. So, and you dab your face first to just dry it off a little bit better. So yes, I am no makeup expert by any means, but I did use Graftobian Makeup Pro Paint White Swan as well for some highlights on the nose, and just to give a little bit of not texture but just variance across the face instead of it just being one flat colour. So the makeup itself, like the the eyes and the lips and stuff. The lips is Barry M Black. I love Barry M makeup so much. It was a brand I used when I lived in the UK, and it's still a brand I use here. I love Barry M makeup so much. And so for the eyeshadow, and like I just use eyeliner for the eyebrows, and my eyes are hazel green, okay, and I didn't want to wear contacts. So because color balance is a thing, I wanted to cheat a little bit with trying to make my eyes look yellow, because that's how Hades' eyes are. They are yellow, so, or golden, or whatever you want to call them. So I put the eye primer on right up to the eyebrows, and then applied just a simple matte black from my eyelashes right up to my eyebrow, and then I applied a really bright purple like all over, and then from the top of the eyelid here right up to the eyebrow is cobalt blue, and then I put a sparkly metallic grey over the top and finished it off with finishing spray, funnily enough. So I do recommend, if you're doing any kind of cosplay, to rehearse applying the makeup. And so I did this 3 times. The first time I didn't take a picture because it was crappy. The second time it was more successful, but I wasn't using the Draftobian makeup. I was using Snazaroo Metallic. And although I did use, sorry I forgot to mention, I did use the Snazaroo Metallic just on the highlights of the areas of the face I wanted to highlight, like on the nose and my cheekbones. It didn't really show up very well in the photographs, but you know, it was just to give a little bit of sparkle to the face, and that did work. So let's talk about the con itself. There was so many kindred spirits, frankly. So there was amazing cosplays there. It was so inspiring, and like even when we were in line to get in, there was people complimenting me on my cosplay, and it meant so much to me that just random people at the con would just come up to me and be like, "Oh, I love your cosplay, let's get selfie," etc, etc. And that just made all the hard work so worth it. And even vendors, like when we were going up, they were like, "Oh, love your cosplay," and then they would show me like Hades art that they had, or fan art that they did for the Disney movie itself that wasn't on display and stuff, and I'd be like, "Well, having that." And of course, when you start speaking, they realize, "Oh, the accent, you're obviously not American." So that starts a whole conversation as well, which is incredible. Last year, when we went in 2023, Tate Donovan, who voiced the adult version of Hercules in the movie, was there as a guest. So I, of course, am going to go and say hi, and he signed the VHS copy I have of Hercules. And this year they had Josh Keaton, who voiced the young version of Hercules in the movie. So I'm like, oh, we'll get him to sign the VHS. Guess what I forgot to bring with me? The VHS. So I was really worried that because this is the character, the movie was released in 1997, what are the odds that he's going to have 8x10s of Hercules? And they did. I was so happy. It's not framed. I'm getting this thing framed, dude. And I didn't realise until I left the line what he wrote. "You can go the distance." Isn't that sweet? So thank you, Josh Keaton, for signing that for me. I do want to bring up one negative thing that did happen, and you know, I think we handled it fine. Myself and my husband were just in the vendor hall, just looking at stuff on the stalls or whatever. And my husband is not in cosplay. He's just dressed normally, like a berserk shirt and shorts, whatever. And so, you know, just happily looking around, whatever. And this random guy, well, I say guy, he was probably like really young guy, comes up to me and says, "Oh, I hate that movie, it's because I'm a mythology expert, and there's so much wrong with that movie, and I was like, I didn't know what to do in the moment, so I just smiled and said, oh, I know it's inaccurate. And then my husband intervened, and I'll give you guys a life tip. Never challenge a dungeon master to knowledge about mythology. You will lose. Regardless of what his intentions were, he was flexing and he got schooled. Frankly, I was trying to be as nice as possible, but even the guy running the stall that we were in front of was about ready to step in to tell the guy to piss off, basically. The guy that was telling me he hated the movie, yada yada yada, was in Doctor Who cosplay, and if I was a petty person, could have said, oh, I'm not a fan of Doctor Who, you know, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not an asshole. And when you get to my age, you learn when to pick your fights, so I was trying to be as nice as possible. I'm not a Greek mythology expert by any means. I know enough to get by, and I know what the movie got wrong. But I do consider myself an expert on the Disney Hercules movie. Is this I'm sure this is proof enough. I have the freaking art book. So and quite a substantial Hercules collection, which I will probably maybe make another video about one day. But yeah, there's just something that happens at conventions. Like, people wear cosplays that may not necessarily be screen accurate. They might not have the biggest budget, so they have to improvise and use something else and have it so that it might not be finished. They might be, you know, crunch time. And then there are assholes that go to cons simply to tear down other people for how inaccurate their cosplays are, and who cares? Let people enjoy what they enjoy, frankly. I've seen stormtroopers wearing kilts at these things. I don't think screen accuracy is something that most people will be aiming for. Some people do, I know that, but why? Why would you go up to a complete stranger just to tell them, oh, I hate that movie, and then proceed to try to educate said person on why and their knowledge on Greek mythology, etc., was actually inaccurate? I didn't say so, but my husband did. I don't think the guy knew that my husband, you know, was with me. So the guy walked away very angry. Why are people like that? I don't get it. So although we were only there for one day, that's more than enough for us. I had a great time. There's a few things that I would say that they need to fix, like people traffic. Some of the staff, you know, they're volunteers, etc., and you know, it's a stressful thing to do, try to control 22,000 people in a venue that is not built for that many people. Be aware of that they are there for a job, they're not there to be your friend, so if they're going to boss you around, that's going to be a thing that people have to, you know, put up with. Friggin' train. Are you done? Okay. Some merch shout-outs I want to do, and I'm going to keep it in theme here because I got a lot of stuff at this con. So the first shout-out I want to do is to Pesk Effects, and they were my favourite vendor at this entire con, and here's why. So when you're in cosplay at a convention, something that a lot of vendors do, if they've got art of the character that you're cosplaying as, they will drag it out and show you, and if it's not on display, that can sometimes be quite a big job. But Pesk Effects, my god, dude. Come on. And he signed it too, isn't that cool? So yeah, this is next to the Josh Keaton signature that I got. This, and one other thing which I will talk about in a minute. This is my favourite thing I got at the con. I love this. This is metal. The camera does not do this thing justice. It's just friggin' beautiful. You can tell this isn't scripted. I'm not prepared at all. I'm just off the cuff stuff. I'm really hoping to maybe be able to vend at GalaxyCon one day. Who knows? But if I learned one thing at this convention, I really need to step up my game with the quality of what I produce, I really need to get cracking and get better and be a bit more confident in myself. Step up into vending at quote unquote non-pony conventions, which I have done in the past, but not one of this size. And that would be the goal. So who knows? Might be able to do it, might not. If it's on the cards, great, and if it's not, that's fine too. But for my experience, for my second time attending, we definitely want to go back, which is great because I know some people have had very bad experiences at GalaxyCon, and you know, it differs from person to person. I think it all comes down to being prepared, especially when it comes to making sure that you know what the policy is in regards to food and beverages for the venue that the con is running in. Some venues allow outside food and drink, others don't. Obviously, for a con this size, in a venue this size, it doesn't allow outside food or beverages, so be prepared for that, to either pay ridiculous prices for bottles of water from vendors in the con, or bring an empty flask with you that you can refill at water stations, which are right next to all of the restrooms in the building. You might have to wait in a line to get the water, but it's better than paying $5 for a bottle of water. Just keep that in mind, because frankly, that's on you to make sure that you stay hydrated. It's not the responsibility of the con staff to make sure that you're fed and watered. That is up to you. Mother Bear has spoken. Waiting in long lines at conventions. That's something you just have to be prepared to do. We wanted to get to the venue for 8 o'clock at the very latest. Sadly, we didn't get there till 8:30 because it took me a little bit longer to get ready. And so that happens. I mean, I was in my outfit already, but the time it took to actually get out of the hotel took a little bit longer than expected. So yes, that was interesting. But waiting in line, I think we only had to wait in line for maybe not even an hour until we got in, and luckily the weather was quite overcast, so it wasn't too hot. So by the time I got inside, I really needed water when we were in line waiting to get into the vendor hall. I was starting to struggle a little bit, which I anticipated. I mean, the outfit I was wearing, come on. I knew that would be an issue. We were prepared for that. So we were only at the con from opening, which was about 9:30 until 2 in the afternoon. I had to get out of the convention. I was struggling really badly with just overheating quite a lot. I was impressed I was still going by 2 p.m, but by the time we got back to our hotel, I was in quite a bit of pain, but I think it was worth it. So do I recommend people going to GalaxyCon? Absolutely. Main reason is I've not attended San Diego Comic Con, but from what I've heard from people, not just attendees but celebrities as well, what they have said is that San Diego tend to cater more toward advertising new movies and TV shows, and they don't really cater to the fans that attend. For me and what I've heard, GalaxyCon's strength is definitely more about the fans than actually promoting things, and that is something I really like. I mean, all conventions are commercial. Come on, that's what they're there to do, but the priority should be the people that attend. People are there already because they love movies and TV shows and stuff, so yeah, that's a good opportunity to advertise it. That should not be the top priority in my opinion. That is the main thing that I like about GalaxyCon, is that the atmosphere about it feels like it's more about the fans than the IPs that are represented at the con. That's my experience at the convention. Definitely want to go back again and eventually vend at it. So yeah, that would be really awesome. If you guys have any questions about anything else, like the cosplay itself or just anything, let me know and I will try to respond in kind. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully I will be able to make content for my channel again on a more regular basis that's scripted and stuff, but for now it's going to be unscripted stuff, so just have patience. Thank you, appreciate it. I'm Mad Munchkin, stay creative, bye.